Arcane Oddysey is a great game, at least in my opinion, and it's really unfortunate I'm even making this video in the first place. Arcane Oddysey is a game I always use in my videos to tell devs to look at for inspiration, a game that actually pushed the boundaries of Roblox and didn't just make the same thing everybody else is making. So although it's unfortunate, we can't ignore the fact that the game is clearly on a downward spiral, at least in terms of player count and performance. The game went from averaging tens of thousands of players to having only 4,000 players the day after Update 1. So let's take a look at why this is. First, let's talk about Update 1 and why it left a lot of players disappointed. Update 1 mainly consisted of an Easter event and a diving point / underwater update. And although the update probably doesn't sound that bad if you haven't played it, it really didn't add anything to the game. The diving update is really just another way to farm for chests, and they didn't add any exclusive loot, at least that I know of, that you can get from underwater, so it really makes no sense to even use it in the first place. So Update 1 wasn't really a content update, which is why so many players felt underwhelmed, and the update was really just a balance update. And this normally wouldn't be a problem. Not every update needs to be a huge expansion, but the fact that this update took almost 2 months to come out is where the problem lies. And in my personal opinion, this all kind of leads back to the fact that VTEX works alone, so stuff just takes longer. Most of your favorite Roblox games, like GPO for example, has a whole team behind it, and it still takes ridiculous amounts of time to get updates out. So imagine one singular person doing it, and that's kind of why we have such a long time between the updates, and it wasn't even a significant update at all. But what can even be done about this in the first place? Is there a solution to this? Because I assume VTEX isn't going to work with the team anytime soon. And in my opinion, the only real way Arcane Oddysey would be able to keep the player base satisfied is by adding a lot of replayability. Because right now, there's really not a lot of replayability in Arcane Oddysey, and this is a big problem, especially when you have a lot of players that just play to experience the story, and once they hit like max level, they just stop playing the game in general. And I feel like another big problem Arcane Oddysey has is a lot of people just don't enjoy the combat, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal because a lot of people still do enjoy the combat, but in comparison, it's not that big of a population. Arcane Oddysey just doesn't have the same PvP player base to rely on that other games do. I use GPO as an example here again. GPO has a PvP player base that will be playing the game no matter what if the game is dry, which it is right now for example, but there's still people on there because they genuinely enjoy the PvP, and I just think it's not as big of a population here on Arcane Oddysey that enjoys the PvP. But I mean, Arcane Oddysey isn't the only game that suffers with content replayability. This is a very common problem with running out of content and not having replayable content to rely on. Now, Arcane Oddysey is looking like they are trying to add replayable content, and that is a really good thing. And this replayable content will be the Dark Sea. For those that aren't familiar with what the Dark Sea is, the Dark Sea is essentially an infinite area where a bunch of structures spawn and you get rewards for going there, or at least that's how it's described. But the thing is, they need to make sure they add rewards that are worth going out there for, because just like the underwater update, there's no rewards that really make it useful, so it essentially makes the whole update pointless, and that's why we're seeing no people on the update right now. Something that I think we could universally agree would help Arcane Oddysey player count wise is adding mobile, because mobile is like 80% of Roblox. And although it sounds nice in theory to just add the game to mobile, this is a lot more complicated than some of y'all might think. Arcane Oddysey is not a game that was built for mobile. The game has very complicated mechanics that just don't feel like it would work on a mobile screen. You would most likely have to make a completely different version of the game almost to even have it on mobile, and I don't even know if they would be able to experience half the things that are in the PC version of the game. They would probably need separate servers, and there's just a lot of issues with this, which really sucks because I don't really know how you could get around this. I do know VTEX talked about just adding the story to mobile, but then you still run into the same problem as it's only going to be a temporary thing, because once all the mobile players go through the story, they're going to run into the content replayability issue, and then you're not going to have mobile players on the game anymore. I don't know, these are just my thoughts on why Arcane Oddysey is struggling right now. I feel like it is important to note that the game is in early access, so take that into consideration when you make your evaluation of the game, I guess. But if y'all enjoy my content, I would appreciate it if y'all like and subscribe. It means a lot and it helps my channel out a lot, so I would appreciate it. I thank y'all, love y'all, later.